as you have heard. And it's a passion that was fostered when she was a student at Gustavus Adolphus College. Jenna says that composing is incredibly freeing. One of her first pieces was composed for the wind orchestra at Gustavus, an ensemble in which she was a member. The performance of that very first piece, In Defiance of Destiny, led to a moment that Jenna calls, wow. Jenna, welcome to Friday Favorites.
Glad to be here.
So it all started with the saxophone. How'd you get your start in music?
Saxophone just happened to be the only instrument I could make a sound out of when I was testing for fifth grade band. So that's what I started playing. And I regrettably could not play the tenor sax, which was the one I really wanted to play because my hands were not large enough.
So you went with the saxophone that you could make a sound on, and then it fit your body.
Yes, I went with the alto saxophone, and I have since moved on to the other saxophones. Ironically, I don't play tenor all that much.
We're going to talk a lot more about music in this next hour. Jenna Kavouras is the project DJ co-host for today's Friday Favorites. Jenna, what's the next request?
Jim in Lauderdale wants to celebrate the 293rd birthday of Haydn on March 31st. Jim writes, how could I not request the Haydn Trumpet Concerto? For Jim, here is the Scottish Chamber Orchestra conducted by Yak Ya Ling with soloist trumpeter Rolf Smedvig. helping Jim in Lauderdale celebrate the birthday of Haydn on March 31st. I too have a birthday on March 31st, so I will help you out by lighting an extra candle. Trumpeter Rolf Smedvig with the Scottish Chamber Orchestra, conducted by Yak Ya Ling.
I'm Steve Sterrick.
I'm Jenna Kavouras, and I am the Friday Favorites Project DJ co-host.
Jenna Kavouras is the Project DJ co-host for today's Friday Favorites. Project DJ open to anyone between the ages of 14 and 24 who would like to co-host a Friday Favorites. If that's you, find out all you need to know when you go to yourclassicalmpr.org/Friday Favorites. Jenna, you're a composer, and this next piece that you've written, it's a clip, and it's called Flight. Set this up for us.
Flight is a very short name for what is a rescore of a scene from the movie How to Train Your Dragon. It is really the romantic flight. If anybody has seen the movie, you know what I am talking about.
So here is Flight by Jenna Kavouras.
Cool.
It's a short clip, but it's a memorable clip called Flight. And the composer of that is the Project DJ co-host for today's Friday Favorites, Jenna Kavouras. Jenna, what's it like to hear your music on the radio?
Could have never imagined it. It is incredible. What a feeling.
This is Friday Favorites at Your Classical Minnesota Public Radio, so we better get to the next request. What is next, Jenna?
There were 2 requests for the music of Minnesota composer Stanley Woolner. Natalia in Albertville says that all of Woolner's music is peaceful, and Peter in St. Paul says that Woolner's Blue Horizon is the perfect piece for meditation. Here is pianist Ivan Konev with Blue Horizon. beautiful meditative performance by pianist Ivan Konev of Blue Horizon. You are enjoying Friday Favorites at Your Classical MPR. I'm the project DJ co-host, Jenna Kavouras.
Jenna, you went to Gustavus Adolphus with the idea that you'd have a career as a music teacher, but something happened in your junior year. Would you talk about that?
Yes, I was very convinced I was going to go into the music education system, but I had a moment in my junior year of college that changed that path. I wrote a very, very lengthy paper on a video game composer whom is my greatest inspiration, Nobuo Uematsu. This paper ended up being 28 pages of me just going on and on about how his music fits the gameplay, the characters, and bless my music history professor for letting me turn a 5-page paper into 28 pages. Thank you, Dr. Moore. And I felt so passionately about what I was studying and writing about that I thought, I'm going to try this composing thing.
And as they say, the rest is history.
The rest is history.
Well, let's hear another clip, a short bit of something called The Rise and Fall of Globosome. I hope I'm saying it right.
Yes.
What is this piece all about?
This is a little section of a short film that I scored just in January. This little film is about a planet that receives life and is slowly taken over by these little black marble things, which kind of could be interpreted as people. And we see this planet quite literally be given birth and then slowly die because of these little orbs that are taking it over. And then at the end, we see that life finds its way back.
Here is The Rise and Fall of Globosome theme by the Project DJ co-host for today's Friday Favorites, Jenna Kavouras. It's a short clip, but it's a very colorful clip. Composed again by the Project DJ co-host for today's Friday Favorites, Jenna Kavouras. Jenna, what's next?
Heather in Minneapolis says that the Barber Adagio for Strings is a personal favorite. She's not alone. Here is I Solisti Italiani with this Barber classic. hard not to get carried away by the richness of those strings. A personal favorite of my own as well, Samuel Barber's Adagio for Strings for Heather in Minneapolis. I'm Jenna Kavouras. I am your Friday Favorites co-host for Project DJ.
Project DJ is open to anyone who would like to have a Friday Favorites experience like Jenna Kavouras, who is a composer, and we're going to be talking more about some of her music. Jenna, besides the Adagio for Strings, one of the pieces of music in the classical catalog that really resonates with you is the final movement of the Tchaikovsky Symphony No. 6. Would you talk about how that piece resonates?
This piece was introduced to me in the funniest way. I think I was about maybe a junior in high school, and I took an online quiz that said, "What piece of classical music are you?" And I remember getting my result, and it said, "You are melancholic and gloomy as Tchaikovsky's final movement of Symphony No. 6. And I thought, all right, thank you for that interpretation of me. But then I listened to it and I was completely moved. Tchaikovsky is a master of melody and sequencing. And what he does is he takes these little harmonic moments. Perhaps it's the suspended fourth in the melody line that resolves into this beautiful D major chord. But it doesn't last. He does it again and again. And he suspends your emotions, and then he releases it, and he just does it over and over again. And you get really kind of connected with these little moments. They feel personal to you, maybe like re-experiencing grief or sorrow or frustration. And by the time the piece dies off, and it quite literally dies off, it feels like you've lost something. You just feel connected to these little moments, and then they're gone. And it is still one of the pieces I go to today when I need that quiet moment in a dark room. I just say, Tchaikovsky, carry me away for a little bit. I want to melt into a puddle every time I hear it. The Russian National Orchestra, conducted by Mikhail Pletnev, Tchaikovsky's Symphony No. 6, the fourth and final movement. Thank you for letting me share it with you.
This is your Classical Minnesota Public Radio, 99.5 KSJN Minneapolis, St. Paul, bringing music to life with member support.
From Clara Schumann to Clarice Assad, celebrate Women's History Month with me, Jalene Kahn, on the Women's History Month stream at yourclassical.org.
Support comes in part from Cantus. For centuries, forbidden love has lived in secret letters. Cantus' next concert, The Secret Letter, explore love's resilience. The Secret Letter is a powerful celebration of love's enduring legacy. It runs April 4th through the 13th. Tickets at cantussings.org. Hovering around 70 degrees right now, although it could get into the mid-70s before the end of the afternoon. 35 for overnight. Rain in the forecast for tomorrow, and then a spring mix of sleet and freezing drizzle and rain Saturday night.
This is the Composer's Datebook for March 28th. I'm John Burge. On today's date in 1801, the world, or at least that portion of it seated in the Imperial Court Theater in Vienna, heard for the very first time a new ballet. The real draw that evening was the prima ballerina of the company, a certain Fräulein Casentini. As for the music, that was by a young, emerging composer named Ludwig van Beethoven, and his ballet was called The Creatures of Prometheus. The creatures referred to in the title are two stone statues that are brought to life by Prometheus, the legendary Greek figure who stole fire from the gods and gave it to mankind. Beethoven's commission came from an Italian dancer named Salvatore Vigano, who'd been working in Vienna since 1793 and was, like Beethoven, seeking the attention and possible patronage of the culture-loving Austrian Empress Maria Theresa. Although Beethoven's ballet was given 14 times the first season and 9 more the next, it was never published in his lifetime. But Beethoven was evidently pleased with at least one of its themes, a tune he recycled twice, first in the finale of his mammoth Eroica Symphony, and again in a set of 15 variations for solo piano. Composer's Datebook is produced by APM, American Public Media, in collaboration with the American Composers Forum, reminding you that all music was once new.
The This is Friday Favorites at Your Classical MPR. I'm Jenna Kavouras, the Project DJ co-host. Joel in Shakopee says that his beloved is taking the kids to their grandma's for the weekend, and Joel is tasked with cleaning up at home. With the kids gone, Joel figures that the house will stay clean for a few hours instead of a few minutes, and that is something to celebrate. Here's Joel's request, which needs no introduction. Joel, I really hope you enjoy that clean house before the child tornado comes back through. That was Handel's Hallelujah Chorus with the English concert for Joel. This is Friday Favorites at Your Classical MPR. I'm Jenna Kavouras, the Project DJ co-host.
Jenna Kavouras teaches music, but her passion is composition, and she is the Project DJ co-host for today's Friday Favorites. Jenna, you've brought in some clips of music that you have been writing, and this next sample comes from something called the Battle of Ergo. Describe.
The Battle of Urgo was just a name I came up with to help me set the scene. I like making up fantasy names for my little imaginary settings, and in this case, we have what could be considered an epic battle.
It's a short clip, but it packs a punch, the Battle of Urgo. The composer of that piece is Jenna Kavouras, and she is the Project DJ co-host for today's Friday Favorites. Jenna, you mentioned that you composed your first piece when you were a student at Gustavus Adolphus, and that first piece was called In Defiance of Destiny. It was a piece written for the wind orchestra there, and you played in the wind orchestra. Your comment to me was that listening to that very first piece of music was a wow moment. Would you talk about what it was like to put that piece together? It was your very first one.
It was my very first one, and while I didn't know exactly what to expect, I knew that it was going to be insanely difficult, and it was, but I had so much support. My advisor in college, my music theory professor, my peers, parents, everybody encouraged me to keep going, and sitting in that ensemble and playing that piece was both the most terrifying experience of my life thus far, and just feeling that the fact that that music is actually being like embodied. There is breath being put into the music, quite literally coming to life. It was a feeling like no other, and I barely remember it because you're sitting there thinking you're going to have a heart attack, and then after the fact you go, that was really cool.
So a bit of a roller coaster
Yes.
ride, an emotional
Yes.
roller coaster ride. I suspect that you got a lot of kudos after the performance,
I did.
and that just made it essential for you to call yourself a composer.
Yes,
All right.
You don't believe it at first, and I still sometimes don't. It's hard to accept that praise, but indeed, it was the beginning.
Jenna Kavouras is the Project DJ co-host for today's Friday Favorites. Jenna, what's next?
We have Elizabeth in Eugene, Oregon. She writes that her mom was an excellent amateur pianist and that she remembers her mom playing Rustle of Spring by Christian Sinding, and she'd like to hear it in her mom's memory today. Here's pianist Jerome Lowenthal. helping Elizabeth in Eugene, Oregon, remember her mother today with a beautiful performance of Rustle of Spring by Christian Sinding, the pianist Jerome Lowenthal. You're enjoying Friday Favorites at Your Classical MPR. I'm the Project DJ co-host, Jenna Kavouras. Bill lives in Welch, Minnesota. He says he is reflecting on the current golden age of discovery, from the James Webb Space Telescope to the Hadron Particle Accelerator to gravitational observatories. It's all amazing, says Bill. He would like to hear Bold New World by Samuel Thompson. A request from Bill in Welch, Minnesota, Bold New World by Samuel Thompson, celebrating all of those big words above. There's a reason I studied music and not the sciences. But happy golden age of discovery to you.
Jenna Kavouras is the Project DJ co-host for today's Friday Favorites. Project DJ is open to anyone who would like to have a Friday Favorites experience. If you're between the ages of 14 and 24, find out more at yourclassicalmpr.org/projectdj. Jenna, throughout this hour, we've been mentioning that you're a composer, and we're going to hear another clip. This is called The Curious Elves from the Red Grotto, and a descriptive title like that has to have a story associated with it. What is it?
Well, this is a very short theme I wrote for an online motif challenge in which I was given a set of notes and pitches, and I had to take that motif or theme, if you will, and create a little piece out of it. No longer than 2 minutes, and my goal was to move this theme around the orchestra and create a little story. And kind of the picture I had in my head as I was writing was these little tiny elves, kind of maybe metalsmithing or picking flowers or doing something. And I was seeing the color red, as bad as that sounds, I was seeing the color red in my head as I was writing this Perhaps it was the key centers or something else entirely, maybe the orchestration. But the title was born that way.
It's music you can just crawl into. The piece is called The Curious Elves of the Red Grotto, from the Red Grotto. And it is a clip of a piece by Jenna Kavouras, who's the project DJ co-host for today's Friday Favorites, and a young composer as well. Jenna, let's get into the next request. What is that?
Mary in Northfield says that one of her favorite composers is Haydn, and with his 293rd birthday coming up on Monday, it's time to celebrate. Here is The Heavens Are Telling from Haydn's The Creation. Another piece to add to the Haydn Birthday Bash coming up this Monday. That was The Heavens Are Telling from Haydn's The Creation, requested by Mary in Northfield.
I'm Steve Sterrick.
I'm Jenna Kavouras, and this is Friday Favorites at Your Classical MPR.
For the last hour, the Project DJ co-host for today's Friday Favorites has been Jenna Kavouras, a graduate of Gustavus Adolphus College and a composer. We've been sharing some of her music throughout this past hour. And the time has just gotten away. Jenna, thank you so much for being here. You're a real natural in front of the microphone, and I've had a wonderful time sharing the studio with you during today's Friday Favorites. I wish you all the best with your composing career. And I have to tell listeners that I mentioned to you earlier that all of these Project DJ guests are recorded. And I said, well, in 15 years, Jenna, you might be up for an Academy Award for, best picture, best score for the picture. And people are going to go back. It's like, hey, that Jenna Kavouras, wasn't she a Project DJ co-host? And they'll save some of those clips. Thank you again for being here.
Thank you for having me.
What's the biggest takeaway from being a Project DJ co-host?
It's not nearly as scary as you would think. And Steve is, okay. No, Steve is wonderful. Everybody here is wonderful. I would say if you're thinking of doing it, just do it. It's a great time. I've had a blast.
And what's this next request?
We have Catherine in St. Paul. She would like to hear a piece by C.P.E. Bach to honor the Minnesota Bach Ensemble, which is performing this weekend. Here is the London Baroque.
The London Baroque with a piece by Carl Philipp Emanuel Bach, a performance requested by Catherine in St. Paul. Coming up on 26 minutes until 5 o'clock at Your Classical MPR. Have you submitted your entry for this year's Karen Larson Prize? Open to all Minnesota musicians ages 14 to 28. Here's last year's winner, Amy Lynn.
I think I learned a lot about the power of believing in yourself and chasing